Chapter 5, Magic Lessons. Alright, we're gonna find out about that pentagram thingy. I was having a normal dream when I became aware of singing. At first, the singing was a part of my dream, but gradually it separated itself until I realized I was asleep and the sound was coming from a source outside the dream. Must have been Spencer. In that terrifying moment between sleep and being fully awake, I thought I was sleepwalking again. Oh man, it's just before Halloween. But when I woke up fully, I was still in my bed. I blinked up at the ceiling, slightly confused. What woke me up? Dim moonlight was creeping through the curtains, but the light was flickering oddly. And there was the singing. It wasn't in my head, but was filtering through the window, muffled and faint. After a moment's hesitation, I got up and padded to the window, looking out cautiously. There were dozens of dancing lights in the front yard. Whoa. They were like huge fireflies. What are those? It was the first time one of the odd things I'd seen actually looked beautiful. Oh. Well, you're very pretty. A black cat was prancing through the grass as well, almost dancing with the lights. Every so often it would stop and attempt to pounce one playfully. I smiled slightly. Almost as if it could sense that I was watching it, the cat sat and turned to look up at my window with pale yellow eyes. We stared at each other for a long moment. I caught sight of the flash of white fur on its chest. Oh, it's that cat. The one I'd seen hanging around Elliot's house occasionally. I didn't know if it was his or just a stray that liked to hang out there. I wondered if it was you. The eyes. Something about the eyes. Nice dress. Man, you're gorgeous. It turned toward me, and suddenly the cat was gone. Crouching in its place was a familiar figure peering up at me. Brenna? What the heck is she wearing? She looked up at the window one more time and smiled before darting off into the trees. Why was she prancing around in my front yard wearing that in the middle of the night? I mean, when else are you gonna wear it? What the heck? Wait, did that mean that Brenna was Elliot's cat? I'm still on the whole Brenna is Elliot's stepsister train. I mean, I don't know if I'm right or not, but that's just my theory. That could potentially explain their weird relationship. Ugh, so weird. Well, Brenna was Fae, and those lights down there, they were likely will-o'-the-wisps. I'd read that they were a type of Fae as well. I was like, are you gonna write about it? Tell me about them will-o'-the-wisps. There we go. Will-o'-the-wisps are some kind of Fae creature, or phenomenon. It seems like it's up for debate if they're alive or not. In some stories, they are harmless fairy lights, but in others, they are mischievous and will lead the unwary astray. Oh yeah, and sometimes they're evil. They lead you astray and feed off your life energy. As some cryptics are wont to do, I suppose. Some stories actually said they were evil, but they were really pretty regardless. I finally let the curtain fall into place and flopped back onto my bed, too exhausted to watch them anymore. But why was Brenna in my yard? And she'd been there when the Spriggan attacked me. Just who is she, really? A mystery. Saturday morning dawned sunny and cold. I'd barely slept. I managed to drag myself out of bed sometime before Allie arrived. She was coming over to hang out for a bit and set up her wards or whatever. Apparently it was pretty simple. I was hoping I could talk to her about Corvin too, though he'd asked me not to discuss anything that had happened with Kara. That was what I had the most questions about, though. At any rate, that would be later in the day. The morning hours were all mine. I was grateful. I needed some time to de-stress and get out some pent-up energy. After morning coffee, I relocated to my room. I hadn't had a whole lot of time to paint since moving, just here and there. Enough to start a collection of art creations never to be seen by anyone else. Hyphen. They were lurking in my closet. Canvases and pages haunted by Spriggans, shadowy ghost cats. creepy dark forest that enticed unsuspecting sleepers to go for midnight walks, pale faces lurking in the shadows. I'd love to see this. And another familiar face that I hadn't drawn in a while, yet her face kept popping into my mind every time I picked up a brush or pencil lately. I'd drawn her a lot when I was younger as well. A white-haired horned girl. An elf. Or a fairy. It had been a while since she'd made her way onto my canvases, but it looked like she was back, whoever she was. The voice inside her head? I fished an unfinished acrylic painting out of my closet and set it on my easel. In a way, I guess she was almost like a character. I wasn't entirely sure, but it was also possible she'd started out as an imaginary friend. I wasn't sure why I felt compelled to draw her again recently, but there it was. I picked up my brush and started painting. A few slow, careful strokes, dabbing the brush against the canvas to build up a frame of dark leaves. The brush moved almost with a life of its own, and soon it was sweeping across the canvas quickly. I completely lost myself to that place that artists always go when they're creating. The sound of a knock startled me out of the reverie.
Nora, Allie's here.
It took a moment to pull myself back from the world of the painting to reality. Please leave the painting up so that when Allie comes on, she's like, whoa! Just a minute! I checked the clock, and sure enough, 2 hours had passed. I set my brush down and stepped back from the current painting. Ooh! I love it. I frowned as I studied it. The same white-haired girl as always, like a beacon of light in a sea of dark leaves and shadows. I didn't know why this type of scene felt so familiar, like a half-remembered dream poking at the back of my mind. I touched the painting curiously before pulling it off my easel and setting it just inside the closet door. Allie, see this? I thudded downstairs to find Allie waiting for me by the front door. She was chatting away happily with Mom, a large tote bag tucked under her arm. Hey! Whoa, you totally have a huge smear of black paint on your arm. Where? Allie made a slight motion with her hand, pointing at the paint on my arm. I made a face, rubbing at the smear, trying to get the rogue acrylics off. I take it you've been painting? Yeah, haven't had much time for it since the move.
I set out some snacks and soda for you girls in the kitchen. I suppose you'll want to hole up in your room and gossip about boys or something, so I'll leave you to it.
Mom, we do talk about other things besides boys, you know.
Oh? So you're not going to chat about that cute boy you went on a walk with last weekend?
How did you see that?
Oh? Cute boy?
I sputtered indignantly. Mom, no! Just... no! Shoo! Stop causing trouble! She just laughed as she vanished into the family room.
Have fun!
Allie was giving me a teasing grin. No.
You're no fun.
Agreed. After a quick pit stop in the kitchen, Allie and I returned upstairs with snacks. She dropped her bag near the bed, and we spent the first hour curled up there gossiping, but not just about boys. In fact, since I refused to discuss the cute boy from the walk, we talked almost entirely about other things. Allie insisted on looking through all my new artwork, though I didn't show her the closet paintings.
You've gotten so much better. I mean, your paintings were always good, but seriously.
Well, I spent the last 5 years focusing on it.
Yeah, you mentioned that you didn't have many friends at your other place.
I had some, and everyone was really nice. I guess I just didn't have much in common with anyone. Well, I suppose the real issue was just that I hated it there. Not the people, just the place itself. I spent nearly every day wanting to come back here. I felt so suffocated.
Well, now you're back, so that's good, right?
I wish Grandpa didn't have to get sick for it to happen.
How's he doing?
She turned the pages of my sketchbook carefully as we talked, studying each page solemnly before moving to the next. I squirmed uncomfortably, wondering what she was thinking as she looked at them. He's doing better, I think. As long as he avoids stress, he should be fine. That's what the doctors say, anyway. Dad is settling into things too, though I guess he still regrets having to come back. In any case, he has Spencer to help him for the rest of the month. Allie snickered.
Oh ho ho! What have we here?
She held up my sketchbook, showing me the full page of sketches of Corvin. How come I've not seen this? You showed your best friend before you showed me, Nora. I'm offended. Her eyes sparkled deviously over the top of the notebook. I snatched it from her, my face going hot. It's not what you think. I mean, I've drawn some of the others too.
Oh, really?
Yes, turn the page. There's Elliot and Ewan.
And Corvin again, I see.
Corvin just has an interesting face.
Uh-huh. He wouldn't be the aforementioned cute walk guy, would he?
Shut up! I picked up a pillow and smacked her with it. She giggled and tried to fend me off.
Hey, I don't disapprove. It's nice to see Corvin finally opening up to someone a little.
It wasn't the first time someone indicated Corvin didn't usually get close to people. But he was getting close to me. Though, I wasn't sure why.
But if you do like him, you could be a little nicer.
I'm nice, sort of.
You're very prickly. I think they call it tsundere.
I think he likes it. It's true.
Oh, come on. Throw him a bone sometimes. Why are you so snarky at him anyway?
I don't know. I like the bottom though, because she admitted she loved him. She loved that boy. I let out a small, exasperated sigh. The course of true love never did run smooth.
So now it's true love and he's getting you to quote Shakespeare. Impressive.
That's not what I meant.
Uh-huh.
Look, it's just not easy for me to not be prickly.
But you do really like him, right?
I don't know. I think I'm starting to. I have a lot going on right now. Besides, I've noticed that Kara hangs around him and seems kind of protective.
Yeah, that is definitely an issue. But the important thing isn't if there are other people who like him too. It's who he likes.
Which seems to be everyone.
Things aren't always what they seem.
So I'm learning. I gave her a sidelong look, thinking about the incident with the Ori. Since you brought her up, what really happened with her? I mean, after we left. I believe you actually brought her up, Nora. You were like, Kara's very protective, and she was just like, that's true, but it's not what it seems. Since you brought her up, excuse me?
Man, I wish I knew the answer to that one too. I tried talking to her about it all, but she was just so angry. After she botched that concert...
Wait, which concert? The one right before we moved? I just thought no one showed up.
No, apparently she messed up badly at the start and ran off stage. You didn't know about it?
She and I only talked about it once, and it wasn't really talking. More like her yelling at me about how no one showed up.
I don't know much about it since I wasn't there. I did hear that her mother really freaked out.
That part doesn't surprise me. Her mother was always...
dramatic?
That's putting it lightly. Still, why didn't they just do another one? Even if she messed up.
They did schedule another one that year, but it was canceled at the last minute.
Why?
I don't know. She stopped playing right after that and refused to talk about it.
Is this a Kosei situation? Is that really her lost dream then? But why? Why would one ruined night mean the end of a dream? That didn't make sense. I never meant to ruin her aspirations.
Hey, you didn't ruin anything.
Feels like I ruined a lot.
Things still bad with Spencer, too.
She had to ask. Terrible. Worse than ever. I paused and gave her a furtive look, avoiding meeting her eyes. What happens when a normal person finds out about the supernatural?
Well, that depends. It can be really, really dangerous for them.
Why? Why is just knowing about it dangerous?
Humans naturally want to investigate things. That's fine when you can defend yourself. Not so fine when you can't. It's easy to step on toes in this world, or to stumble onto things you shouldn't have seen. Some cryptics will erase your memory and move on. Others have slightly less polite ways to handle intruders. And some of them aren't really fond of humans to start with. You cross the wrong cryptic and there isn't going to be much left of you to bury.
I winced slightly. I could understand that. Not to mention how many people apparently ate other people in this world. Even so. Elliot mentioned that his family knows about him.
Well, there are several reasons that's okay. They don't want to know about the paranormal community. They found out about Elliot by accident and were satisfied with just that. They don't ask a lot of questions. And it's also to do with him being a vampire. Certain communities are much, much more secretive than they are, so the rules are a little different.
Certain communities, like wizards.
Among others.
Is that why you never told your family?
Well, it's possible they know already. It's pretty rare for a human to spontaneously generate magic abilities. But, I mean, if they know, why haven't they said anything? You know?
Isn't it possible it's something like what we think happened with me? Where it's showing up now after a long time of being dormant?
Well, it doesn't work that way for humans. For me to have magic this strong means I'm either a complete anomaly or one of my parents has it. Probably my mother. But with her overseas for work...
Aww. I suddenly gave her a quick hug, squeezing her tightly. I'm sorry I wasn't here when you were dealing with all that.
Even if you had been, it wouldn't have changed much. In some ways, it may have been harder. We probably wouldn't have known about you being a cryptic yet, and I wouldn't have been able to tell you anything. But I'm glad you're here now. Anyway, why are you asking about all this? Kara, then Spencer.
I think Spencer's suspicious. I mean, he's always watched me really closely, and I guess he noticed I've been acting weird. I fiddled with the edge of my comforter, chewing my lip. I didn't want him to get drawn into this, but there was a part of me that wished I could just explain it all to him and clear the air. For better or worse.
Well, I'm not surprised, honestly. We've kind of put off dealing with him for a while. But the truth is that we don't know he's normal in the first place.
What do we do?
Given how busy everyone is for the next few days, I'd say that unless he's more than just suspicious, we should wait. I wanted to try to approach him with this, maybe test him. If we figure out where he stands, it'll be a lot easier to figure out how to deal with him.
What if he's just a normal human?
Then if he gets too involved, we may need to have Velos erase his memories.
What?
I know. I don't want that to happen either. But in the end, it won't be my call.
He's a jerk, but he's still my brother. I don't want someone fiddling with his head and giving him brain damage or something. He's already enough of a pain in the butt to deal with.
I don't think memory erasure causes brain damage. It's more like a seal that blocks the memories from being accessed.
Still. There was a knock on my door interrupting our conversation. Yikes, we were talking pretty loud. Hope no one heard that. The knock came again, and it sounded suspiciously impatient. I got up to check who it was and was unsurprised to see Spencer there. Speak of the devil and he will appear. He thrust a bag of chips at me.
Mom wanted me to bring these up. Apparently, she thinks you've probably already devoured the first one.
Thanks. Allie, do you have a suspicious rosy blush on your cheeks, girl? Devoured? Really?
Hey, Spencer! I haven't seen you much since you guys moved back. Where have you been hiding?
Allie practically shoved me out of the way so she could lounge in the doorway. Smooth. Oh, he's blushing too! Oh! I support you too. Spencer looked away and did I just blush a little?
I've been busy.
Too busy to say hi to me?
Well, I don't see you around much at school.
Yeah, I have a lot going on too. But you could have made an effort.
It's not that I didn't want to say hello.
It was weird seeing him flounder around and act like a normal person. I retreated to my bed and watched the two of them talk, wondering why he could act normally with Allie, but not with me. Well, he's got his guard up around you. You may have scratched his eyeball out.
If you wanted to say hello, then you should have. I come by here every single morning these days. You never even wave.
Wow, called out. He shuffled his feet awkwardly and rubbed the back of his head.
I just didn't know if you wanted to say hi. I don't know what you might have heard about me these days.
I shot him a sharp look. Nothing but the truth, you jerk. I bit my tongue to keep from saying it aloud.
Please, I've listened to you and Nora whine about each other practically since you were born. That doesn't even faze me anymore. So, do I get to know your phone number or what? Is it a state secret?
It's not a secret.
I had to admit that watching her bully him into sharing contact information with her and promising to text was pretty entertaining. I hadn't seen him legitimately flustered in a really long time. He even smiled once. Okay, Romeo, can I have my friend back for a while? As much as it was fun to watch her tease him relentlessly, she did have a more important reason for coming over. And no, I was not bored and jealous. Definitely not. Spencer couldn't even muster the resolve to glare at me. He just rubbed the back of his head and muttered something.
I'll text you.
I'll wait for it.
Look at these goobers. He beat a hasty retreat back downstairs, the back of his neck remarkably red. Allie grinned after him and shut the door only when he was out of sight. Ew. I was obligated to say it.
I know. He's your brother and it's gross.
He's also a creep and a jerk most of the time.
Well, he's nice to me.
I flopped back onto my bed and threw my arm over my eyes. Yeah, I know.
He's always so gruff and cranky, same as when we were kids. It's funny.
You know that most people would not find those qualities endearing, right? You are so twisted. I felt her sit on the bed next to me.
I really don't think he's all that bad. I think there's something bothering him.
Yeah, me.
Maybe it'll take a neutral third party to help settle things?
I nudged her with my foot. You're not allowed to be neutral. You're supposed to be biased in my favor, best friend.
Right. I'm totally not neutral at all. I'm totally biased in your favor in all ways.
I sat up. You are such a liar.
Well, if it makes you feel better.
I stuck my tongue out at her. Bleh. So you were going to put up those ward thingies or whatever?
Oh yeah, right. You think I should put one up in your room?
Yeah. It couldn't hurt, for sure. Maybe it'll keep me asleep. It couldn't hurt. I mean, if my super pure magical aura is going to be attracting creepy things, I'd like all the protection I could get.
I don't think it's going to necessarily be attracting anything, but just in case. I'll do one here, then go down in a bit and put some up outside then.
No problem. I watched her stand in the middle of my room and do her chanty magic thing. Ooh, that magenta. After a few seconds, she opened her eyes.
That's done.
Seemed rather simple. I couldn't really tell she'd done anything, so I was just going to trust her on that one. How does this warding stuff even work anyway?
Depends on the type of ward you're setting up.
There are types.
Of course there are. There's almost never just one way to do something.
I guess that's true. Hang on a sec. I jumped up and went to my desk, pulling out the journal I'd been keeping.
What's that?
I figured I'd take notes. I've been trying to keep track of anything important I've been learning.
Isn't that going to be a problem if someone finds it?
Oh, come on, I'm not that dumb. I opened the notebook and showed her. Allie leaned in closer, raising an eyebrow. She examined the squiggles and dots.
What the heck?
I figured I'd just write it in a way no one else could read it.
So that's some sort of code?
Well, you remember when Spencer and I were little and we talked to each other?
Oh, right! I'd forgotten about that. You two had that weird language you made up.
It was mostly me who made it up. Spencer did learn it, though. Anyway, when we were a little older, I actually made up letters for it.
Whoa, cool! You still remember it?
Yeah. Spencer forgot it, apparently. I shrugged. Twin languages were hardly uncommon. There was even a medical term for it, cryptophagia. I think the only thing really odd about ours was how long we continued to use it, and that I continued to develop it even after Spencer forgot about it. Anyway, I thought it would be perfect for the notes. If anyone finds it, they'll dismiss it as just some goofy code or something.
Makes sense.
So, you were saying?
Right! So, the most common type of ward is a symbol of some kind. Something that either protects or repulses negative things.
What kinds of symbols?
They vary by culture and region, really, but things like iron horseshoes, four-leaf clovers, and so on. The problem is that symbol wards aren't always effective, and they're stationary. So most people set up barrier wards that repel evil by simply not letting it pass through. Even then, you have physical barriers and magic barriers.
Gotcha. Oh, let's read about the barriers. Okay, let's read that before. Wisps, crumbles. Here we go. One of the oldest and simplest forms of magic is barrier magic, meant to keep out nasty things. Symbol barriers usually involve some sort of physical object that repels evil creatures who find its presence odious or unpleasant. And there you have it. Oh, hold on a second. Choking. Dry throat.
If you look at my bag, I have a box of symbol ward things at the bottom. You can look through it if you want.
I grabbed her bag off the floor and started rummaging through it, poking and prodding at all the weird things in it. Where did she even get a hold of some of it? What even was all of it? Eye of newt, toe of frog. I actually wouldn't have been shocked to find either at this point.
Anyway, barriers have their limitations, so anything I put up today will only last a few weeks at most.
That's... I hissed loudly and yanked my hand back as something in her bag burned my hand.
Whoa, hey! You okay?
Yeah, something in there just burned me. Not badly or anything. Felt more like touching a stinging nettle or something. I looked down at my fingertips as I rubbed them together. The tips were slightly red, but that was all.
It burned you? What was it?
I looked in the bag and nudged the little jar with my knuckle. Are we finally gonna get some answers? This thing.
Oh, that's St. John's wort.
I'm allergic to St. John's wort, but I don't know how it managed to affect me through glass.
Well, it's a fairy bane.
Fairy bane? Like something to ward off fairies?
Yeah, I just grabbed it with everything else without thinking.
There you go. And there you have it. Fairy confirmed, finally. Certain types of plants are pretty odious to fairies. They can't even be used as protection against them, or be used to keep them at bay. They can even, sorry. These are usually referred to as fairy banes. One of the most common is St. John's wort, which is a medicinal herb that's been used since ancient times for a variety of purposes. Another is broom, the plant that old-fashioned brooms were made of. I gotta look that up. I never really considered the idea that stuff like that would work on me. Wait, so that meant I wasn't allergic to it? I had a reaction because it was a fairy bane?
Well, you are Fae, after all. And that's another reason symbol-based wards can be tricky. Some of them are meant to ward off specific creatures, some of whom may be allies. Most magic barriers are designed to just keep out anything with ill intent, regardless of race.
Okay. Doop-a-doop. Let's see. Symbol wards have limited application due to the fact that they're inherently weak and easy to bypass. Barriers formed of magic energy can be programmed to target specific creatures, or can have a more general program that repels anything with ill intent. Magic barriers can be broken by creatures with stronger magic, or with a stronger will than the caster. Does that mean Spencer won't be able to come in my room now?
Ha ha. But no, in this regard, ill intent typically implies something like wanting to cause physical harm.
We were interrupted when my phone chimed.
Who's that?
I picked up my phone to check, raising my eyebrows when I saw the name on the screen. Corvin? It's Corvin.
How's the warding process going?
Oh, you remember that was today?
Of course I did.
Just going to go on like everything was normal, huh? Even in spite of what happened the last time we'd seen each other. Meh. It's going okay, I guess. I burned my hand on Allie's weird witchy stuff.
Ouch. If I was there, I'd kiss it better.
Mm-hmm. Really, Cor?
Of course, I really would do it. Your hands are so small and cute. I hope the burn isn't too bad. And I'm sorry I didn't get to see you the last few days.
Well, I'm sure you were busy.
What are you guys talking about?
I quickly shoved my phone under the blankets. Nothing. Corvin's just being weird.
Oh, really? Can I see?
No! I dove for my phone at the same time Allie did, but that cheater held up the jar of St. John's wort. Hey, that is so not fair. I hissed and jumped back without thinking. Allie dug my phone out and darted across the room, crowing victoriously.
He's going to kiss your hand? Oh.
Oh my god, are you 12? I threw a pillow at her face, but she dodged it.
Hey, I've just never gotten to tease you about a guy before, so I'm making up for lost time.
Can you get your butt downstairs and finish the ward thingies?
Fine, fine.
She handed me back my phone and I immediately texted Corvin. I'm going to kill you next time I see you. I apparently went back in time? 1 minute. By the way, I've traveled back into the past to tell you I'm going to kill you.
Why?
He was going to just have to suffer until next week over that one. Poor Corvin.
By the way, I'm going to leave this for you.
She had taken a small pouch out of her bag and set it on my bed. I immediately picked it up and started looking it over. What is it?
It's just a simple talisman. The effect isn't strong, but it can dampen your aura a bit so you don't attract unwanted attention. And it also creates a small area of protection.
I turned it over in my hands. A slightly sweet fragrance was emanating from it, but otherwise it just looked like a plain little pouch.
If for some reason you do have to go out tomorrow, remember to take that with you. It should help a little. Also, remember that some places are going to be naturally more dangerous than others. bridges, cemeteries, crossroads. Avoid them if you can, and don't linger in any of them for long.
Well, cemeteries won't really be a problem, but why bridges and crossroads? Take a guess.
They're all liminal spaces, areas where the boundaries between this realm and others get really thin. It's easy for things to cross into our realm at those spots, so it's better to just try to stay away at times like this.
I'll remember that. I remember that from ages ago. It's funny what the brain retains. Let's see. That's traveling by door. Let's see. There we go. Liminal spaces, in paranormal terms, are areas where the boundaries between this realm are thinner than normal. Because of this, it's easy for things to cross into our realm at those spots, or for humans to cross into other realms. In practical terms, most liminal spaces are areas of transition, like bridges and doorways, or they're areas that have no function of their own except to be passed through on your way somewhere else. Abandoned areas also tend to form liminal spaces. The concept is really vague and hard to explain. I guess the important thing to know is that they can be dangerous, especially at certain times of the year. I set the pouch on my bedside table so I wouldn't lose it. Anything else I need to know?
Nope.
She shouldered her bag of witchy goods.
I know it seems like a lot of preparation for something really simple, and I don't want you to worry, because nothing is going to happen, but this is your first Samhain on this side. I'd rather be safe than sorry. If by some terrible chance something did happen, I'd feel awful.
I know. And believe me, I would much rather be safe than sorry too. I just hope next year I can help out instead of just sitting around doing nothing but being worried.
Then you have a lot of work to do to catch up. But after this, we'll have a whole year to work on it.
We started downstairs together so we could go out back and do the barrier there. I wonder who that could be. Why are you going to kill me? Why did you travel back in time to tell me you were going to kill me? Reasons. As we reached the foot of the stairs, the doorbell rang.
You can get that. I'll go out back and get started.
Just keep an eye out for you-know-who.
I will. I know how to be discreet. Trust me. He won't suspect a thing.
I left her to it and went to answer the front door.